Hey everyone, I'm Robert. As someone who has been video editing for several years, I'm always on the lookout for tools and techniques that can help streamline my workflow. Most of what I was doing until very recently had to do with narrative and storytelling work, building scenes, finding the tone, mood, and cutting a lot of documentary work, which I think is a very different process than just cutting dialogue or spoken content, which is what I'm doing a lot now. Honestly, this kind of talking head video that you are seeing in this moment is not as hard to edit once you have a good system or process that works for you. In my case, this is much more about planning the structure and putting ideas in order for clear delivery. Other than that, I feel like it's about removing those points of friction that just add unnecessary time and extra work. One of these things actually is removing mistakes, cleaning up my takes, laying down all the spoken content as the foundation on top of which I may or may not add some more footage or graphics. I recently discovered Recut, an application that has been of huge help in this part of the process. It is designed to remove silence from your takes, making the editing process much more efficient. This app works with video files. You can do multiple tracks, but it can also accept audio by itself, which can be very helpful for people that do podcasts or different kinds of content. In this video, I want to tell you some thoughts about Recut, walk you through some of the features, and also tell you why and how I use it. Some weeks ago, I had this deadline to finish a Skillshare class. I blocked out several weeks for this because I had to do research, create an outline, brainstorm, plus writing the script, and a lot more before even getting to the shooting part. I just did not want the editing process to take more than necessary, so I started looking for some automation tools in this area. There are amazing applications out there for this, but Recut caught my attention because not only does it have a very solid set of features, but it's also not a subscription based service. Not only that, but I actually had the opportunity to speak with Dave, the creator of Recut, on a video call. When I come across an app like this that I think is very good and has a lot of potential, I like to share ideas and feedback to the developers because it's always very exciting to be part of the co-creation process or shaping an app with specific needs that I do not see addressed anywhere else. This is especially true when the developer is open to implementing new features based on user suggestions. Actually, I have to say that this is the first time that I send some suggestions to a developer and he answers me back with an invitation to have a call and talk about the app. I think details like this make a huge difference for me and really make me trust this tool and its development even more. Now, let me quickly jump to the app and show you around. As you can see right away, the interface is very simple and clean. It just looks good. I have my system in dark mode, but if not, it will look like this. I prefer everything in dark mode. In the bottom, we have a timeline like in most editing apps, and we have a sidebar with some controls. I want to do this a little bit different. I actually already shot the introduction that you just saw in this video, and I also shot the closing. So I will be bringing that footage in. What I want to do is show you around the application, and then I will go ahead and cut this footage, stopping in some parts so you can see how I integrate Recut inside my entire workflow. I have to say that a lot of what I shoot is scripted because I am terrible at talking to the camera. Using a teleprompter saves me a lot of time, but still, even though I'm reading, I make a lot of mistakes. So I ended up recording, in this case, around 30 minutes. As you can see down here in the timeline, Recut took some seconds to identify the silence to be removed. These are the red sections. Let me zoom in. And there's this very neat feature that if I select one of those red segments and if I drag around, it will only be selecting other red parts. I can click delete and it will remove them. Or the opposite, I can select one of the blue parts and I can drag around and it will only select other blue sections. And if I press delete, it makes them red, which basically means that I removed that area. Now, when I'm playing back, and let me play back here, a mistake, I can select here to skip silence. And in this way, it will just jump. This is much more about planning. The structure, in my case, this is In my case, this is so yeah, it skipped over those red sections that it removed. Now in Recut, you do not have a blade tool, so I do not think of this as something that can fully replace my editing application, which is Final Cut. It does one thing, which is remove silence, and it does it very well. But for it to give you the best results, you have to make sure that you have the correct settings. This is one of those things that is meant to save you a lot of time. Let me make sure that I have the defaults. Okay. I am mostly shooting in the same place, same distance to the microphone, so I do not have to be messing around a lot with this. So you just have to figure out what will work for your specific case. Let me turn this auto off. Every option has a very straightforward description, but a really nice thing is that everything is updated in real time. For example, let's look at this slider that sets the threshold. It basically defines what should be considered as silence. So the more that I move it to the right, the more red we will see. This is a good setting to adjust if you have a constant noise in the background or if your audio levels are too high or too low. We also have a minimum duration for silence to be detected. This setting helps if you talk fast or the opposite if you take your time like me. Then we have some padding so that the cuts don't feel too abrupt. You can even remove very short audio spikes. I mentioned that we do not have a blade tool in here, but a workaround if you want to do more editing within Recut is to move around these settings so that it will introduce more cuts for you. And I will do that right now. Let me see in silence duration. See, now there's many more red parts. I could zoom in, I could remove some of the blue and go back to what I had before. And as you can see, the parts that I made red stay like that. I do not do this a lot. I just feel like I am much faster in Final Cut doing this. Now, let me bring a second clip inside Recut. My camera has a 30-minute recording limit, and in this case, I went a little bit above that. And again, it's analyzing the audio, detecting silence parts. Let me zoom out. There it is already. If I click and drag around, it will be selecting those segments as before. So what I want to do is come here and click segments so that it turns into clips. This is what allows me to drag the clips all across the timeline. This is also what will allow you to bring a separate track of audio, for example, if you like to record audio separately. And in that case, you will have to zoom in and manually synchronize. For now, the only thing that I'm looking for is that these two do not overlap. What I will be doing right now is just play everything for myself, and I will be seeing those small details that I can remove. Okay, at this point, I have already gone through the entire thing one time, just removing some obvious mistakes. And I don't plan to do everything here, like I mentioned before, but this is good enough. Let me go to export. And you have the option of exporting audio or video already rendered. This could be good if you don't plan to take this into another editing app. But I feel like the strongest aspect of Recut is to use it to complement your main editing application, not to replace it. So I will go here and export as a Final Cut Pro XML. You have different options like Resolve, Premiere, Screenflow, Capcut, or XML file. I want to select this MultiCam, and this will save me time a little bit later as I will be showing you. Now I'm inside Final Cut Pro. I already imported the XML file that was saved from Recut, and Recut actually created this project for me that includes all of those cuts that I did in there. So there's no silence parts here to be removed. Let me just go to the end, and as you can see, there's some parts that appear totally black, and that is because of that last clip that I dragged inside Recut. It detects it as if it was another angle, specifically because this is a multicam clip. Remember that I selected that option when I was exporting. So I have to select this, and inside Final Cut, go and choose the correct angle here. The way that I will cut this is I usually record everything a couple of times, so I know that the last take is usually the best one. So I will start from the last take, and if I find something that I need to replace, I can just always go back to the first takes that I did. So there's like 8 minutes of content out of the 30 minutes. And then there's this space where I will be including what you are seeing right now, this screen recording. Now, I still do a couple more things in my edit, like fixing the audio and stuff like that. But another thing, and the main reason that I exported as a multicam from Recut is because I can go inside a multicam clip and do any color correction here. And I will just do something extreme so you can see what I mean. Something that, of course, is not usable at all. But I will go back to my main project, and the color correction is reflected everywhere. Of course, there's another clip here where I would also have to do that inside the multicam clip. One thing that I really like about Recut is that it doesn't completely replace the human touch. As an editor, I still want to be conscious about every cut and decision that is made, even if it's not a highly creative, narrative driven project. While Recut is particularly useful for editing talking head videos and podcasts, it has a wide range of potential use cases. For instance, you can use it to remove silences from audio files like M4A or WAV, which can be incredibly helpful if you like to listen to lectures or other audio content at a faster speed. I do have to tell you that not everything is perfect. Currently using Recut on my MacBook Pro with the M3 Pro chip, it has been much better than when I was using my MacBook Air M1. Video playback, since I shoot mostly in 10-bit, was struggling quite a bit. With this computer, I still see it skip a few frames here and there. The app itself has always been very responsive, but I believe that Recut doesn't fully make use of the GPU. This is a limitation that may be different to every user depending on their system. I also feel like there's some small issues with the rendering of the brightness or colors of my footage, which may be related to video codecs. Both of these are really not a deal breaker for me because I always export the XML and do the final touches of the edit inside Final Cut, where really there's no issues. Another thing that could be a drawback in some situations is the lack of automatic sync with different clips. Since I record audio in camera and my external audio track is just as a backup, this is not a major issue for me, but with more than a few tracks, I can see how it could become a problem. There are also some minor features that I like for them to be more polished, like being able to drag to extend or modify the selection of clip sections on the timeline instead of always having to go back to the sliders. Just little things like that would give me more control in the simple cutting that I do here. I spoke to Dave, the developer, as I told you, and I know that many of these things will be improved soon. Something that would be exciting is if something like Whisper AI gets implemented for transcriptions in a way which assists the editor without totally taking over. I have seen apps that allow you to basically edit your video only by working with text, but that's something that doesn't feel natural to me as a visual person. If we could have some text hints of what is being spoken on top of the timeline, for example, instead of having to rely on just moving the playhead or playing the video, and with those hints be able to know exactly where to jump to double check or create a cut, I guess that would be really cool. I mean, there are a lot of possibilities with AI that I think haven't been explored yet by applications. And this, of course, needs some time and creativity, but I think that the vision of the app before anything else is the most important because it will guide all of these other decisions. And I really like the direction that Recut is going. So there you have it, guys. I can totally recommend this app to anyone looking to speed up their editing process. In my opinion, it's not just about removing silence from clips. My YouTube videos or online courses and my pace of talking in general are kind of slow. I like to take my time to make everything clear and I like it like that. So an app like this, for me, strikes the perfect balance between automation and manual control, allowing me to keep a human touch in my edits, not just removing silences and making everything feel crazy fast without purpose. I want to be clear that I was not paid to make this video. In fact, I was the one who asked about becoming an affiliate because I truly believe in this piece of software and wanted to share it with my viewers. I do get a commission if you purchase through my affiliate link, but my recommendation comes because I am really excited about this tool and I really want to support its development. I also have to tell you that you get a 10% off if you purchase using my link. They have a fully functional trial without any watermarks, so make sure to test this out and check if it's for you. If you found this video helpful, please let me know. I am thinking of maybe making another video in the future comparing Recut with similar apps. I think this one is truly the best for my case. It's one of those amazing apps that very few people seem to know about. But if you want to see more in detail how it compares to others, let me know. Don't forget to sign up for my newsletter in the description for weekly updates on what I'm up to, books or articles that I'm reading, applications I'm trying out, curiosities, podcasts, film recommendations, and anything that I find inspiring. I appreciate any thoughts and feedback is always welcome. See you in the next one.